Started. Are we on the air?
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. I'm Councilmember Jose Huizar, and we'll be joined shortly by Vice Chair Councilmember Zine. And this is a meeting of the Audits and Governmental Efficiency Committee. Today, we have a short agenda, and I understand that we have a request to continue item number 3, so we'll go ahead and do that. And that brings us to item number 1. We'll do item number 1, and then we'll quickly take item number 2, which is a controller's item. And yeah, the people from the controller's office are here. Okay. So, Mr. Zine has joined us for the record, and we're 2:30. That's the excuse I use. It doesn't work. So, welcome. And please introduce yourselves, and if you could give us an update on the how the Department of Water and Power is doing on the low-income discount program.
Certainly will do. My name is Lance Brown. I'm the Director of Customer Services for Water and Power. Go ahead.
Mickey Yonamina, and I work with Lance on part of this low-income team.
Okay. And Melanie Chacona, one of our managers or the manager of account services, is here as well.
Where?
Right here.
Don't hide. We're a friendly crowd.
That's right. Kind of to start by giving you an update of where we are right now and what we're working on. Since the last meeting, we've added approximately 4,500 new low-income applicants to the rolls, and we're working on this in 3 basic areas. We're working on 2 databases currently. The HEAP database, the Housing Authority, or the Home Energy Assistance Program database, and we are sharing the HACLA database as well to try and determine other members, other citizens or customers that can apply for this rate and will qualify. We've had a pretty good hit rate on both of these, averaging between 20 and 25% of new applicants that do fit into the income for the low-income program. So we've added a number of people that way. We're also looking at what we're doing ourselves, and that is in a couple of areas. We are now recertifying every 3 years instead of every single year for the low-income application. And we are also no longer requiring the federal form, I believe, Mickey, the 4506T form, which is a federal form based on verification of income. This was one of the issues that we had talked about at length, and we have decided to drop that from the income or the application process. So we are now processing applications without that. Just yesterday, our board passed an agreement with the Southern California Gas Company to share information of their low-income program over a period of 3 years. We will be sharing data back and forth, and over that period we will go through approximately 300,000 applicants on the gas company's side that currently qualify for a low-income program of theirs.
They have 3,000 in the city?
So they have about 300,000.
In the city?
Yes. 300, I think the number is 300 to 350,000.
It might be a little bit over that now.
And it could be as high as 400,000. But if we do see some of the hit rates that we've seen on the other databases that we're looking at right now and comparing, we expect to add a significant number of people to the low-income program, low-income and Lifeline program. So, and that was passed yesterday, so we'll start sharing data within the next month if we can get that going as quickly as possible. We're also working on a number of outreach efforts of our own, and we are expanding efforts with some of the neighborhood councils. We are meeting with them at the department to determine the best way of identifying possible applicants. We're working with other agencies in LA, and we are looking at sometime in the future, depending upon the hit rates of the current databases we're looking at, being able to really go into the neighborhood, possibly using a third party to do some door-to-door activity or something like that could really either canvass certain areas or kind of pick up the slack when we don't see what we see from the other databases. We do expect to add on our own between 12 and 15,000 applicants a year merely from the recertification process alone by some of the changes that we've made. And I think we are going to get to the numbers, the percentages that we're looking for in the area of 300,000 to 350,000 within a 3-year period. That is our goal.
And how do you verify the income level?
We ask for income documents, different ones, either pay stubs, tax returns, other things like that. We do ask for an income verification.
On every one?
On every one, yes.
Okay. How much fraud do you find in this?
I don't know
I'm
if
a
it's a
former
percentage. or
member
we
of
can-
law enforcement, so I'm always on the suspicious side of life.
Exactly. What we do find sometimes is in the recertification process, either not a recertification or something that's changed in the household. For instance, the person that was accepting this benefit or getting this benefit, either it passes away or does something like that.
Or they win the lottery.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Or they win the lottery.
Or that could happen as well.
Yeah.
And so sometimes if there's any movement, sometimes the reapplication process, if it has different family members in it or something. But currently, we don't go out and check the validity of that at this time. So we do really rely on the customers themselves.
So they do it annually?
We do it we're going to be doing it every third year for recertification if you're in the same household. If
So
you
we don't do
move,
any-
you do have to recertify.
So we don't do any spot checks or anything like that?
We don't beyond.
For example, say you got Woodland Hills. I represent Woodland Hills, Tarzana, affluent communities.
Right.
And someone would apply for it in an area, they live in a $2 million home,
Yes,
and they're applying for this.
yes.
We wouldn't verify the fact that,
Just the income verification that they provide to us. I'm sorry, Mickey, go ahead.
Well,
I mean, I know certain areas of the city have higher poverty than others. Now, if you
Yes.
go to Beverly Hills, I don't know if they have any poverty in Beverly Hills.
Yes.
But I have impoverished areas in my community. I also have some very affluent areas. And is there some kind of a flag if it comes in for Bel Air, Brentwood, Pacific Palisades versus South Los Angeles or East Los Angeles? I mean, how do we, because there's always some kind of opportunity where people take advantage, and since it's a program, we want to make sure that it's not abused.
Exactly.
That
Melanie, who
aspect
does
of it.
manage the account services group and takes in all the applications, can probably shed a little light on
Okay,
that.
thank you.
Hi, Melanie Chacon with Department of Water and Power. Until recently, since we required the 4506T form and the actual tax return, we were finding little to no fraud because we were able to verify that through the federal government. Now that we've changed the standard on that, we will be doing a random at least 10% sampling to verify. Just to answer your question, if anything jumps up as a red flag, we don't make that assumption because we never know the circumstances of why somebody is living where they live.
But you can tell if you're paying $20,000 a year for property tax because you live in a certain community. I mean, we can do studies to find out what areas are more affluent than others.
Right.
What areas have $2 million homes versus $400,000 homes.
Right, but we will not disqualify somebody automatically just because of the city.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that to verify that that actually exists and they're not scamming the system.
Right.
That's my concern, is that we do people who need it, I'm all for it.
Absolutely.
I'm just concerned, like MTA, for example, the buses, they have the honor system on the transit line. They've now discovered they got to put gates because there's a lot of people who get on the public transit line and they don't pay. So now they're going to go to a system where you've got to actually go through a gate because people take advantage of it. And I want to make sure it's done fairly. At the same time, people who are trying to abuse the system, there's a check and balance so they can't do that because then it detracts from the people who need it.
Right,
Exactly.
and this program actually underwent 2 audits in 2002 and 2004, and that was one thing that was found is we had over 200,000 on the low income rate, but more than 110,000 were removed because they did not qualify.
There you go. So
Exactly.
exactly my concern, people who were getting a subsidy didn't deserve it.
Right.
So that's my point exactly, and obviously the numbers show that it was. Now, if we've removed the standard that we had for the federal standard, now you're going to something else. And human nature, sometimes people take advantage, and then the ratepayers are going to pay in the tab anyway, at a higher level. So that's what I'm trying to find out. How do we make sure that it's balanced? How do we make sure that people aren't abusing that?
Well, again, we will do our random sampling, and the proof of income that's required at the time that they apply for the discount is verified. So we are verifying it at the point that they're applying, and then through the random sampling, we will also verify that their situation still warrants them receiving the discount.
And the rambling sampling would just be a random process?
Well, since we've just terminated the requirement for the 4506T form, this is still something that we are in discussion of how we want to go ahead and identify the accounts that we will be random sampling.
Okay.
And what data we will also use to sample against, so that we can
Why
make
would
sure we have something.
Why are we doing away with that form? 45.
Basically to improve the adoption rates, because we believe there are many other utilities in the state of California that don't require that particular form.
Well,
And
even
we-
with that form, there was fraud, what you're saying?
not only
Very
could there be little fraud, but it was felt that really did reduce the numbers a great deal, because some people who didn't have the capability of either understanding the form or going through that process were not applying. So this is in driving that adoption rate. We were one of the few utilities in California that was really using that form for verification.
And we also found that because we are trying to reach out to the people that need this the most, oftentimes they may have a fear that they're here not legally, and we would be using this type of information against them. And so that was some of the resistance that we were coming into contact with. So again, we're just trying to reach out to the people that need this the most.
Well,
Right.
that's the issue that needed.
But the fraud issue is certainly one there, and what Melanie spoke about when we first went to that form a number of years ago, about 8 years ago, we found that many people did not even reapply, because either that form, you couldn't verify that, or the form itself was something to keep you from doing it. So what we'll be working, we have a meeting coming up with the city controller to determine the best way to look at the fraud, what numbers we will have to use to sample, and then try to get a basis for that at that time.
Okay.
But certainly the fraud issue is,
Well, that should be
Of
paramount.
concern,
Because
right.
the ratepayers keep getting increased in rates, and I'm sure part of their rate goes to pay for this program.
It
Someone's
does.
paying
It
for the
does.
program.
Right.
Yes.
So the person's paying the rate without a discount, and once there's fraud, then obviously we're
Right.
trying to protect everyone. Give it to the people who need it, but also protect the ratepayers that are paying the regular rate.
absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
So obviously your target for penetration is 100%, right? But for whatever reason, it's never going to be, it's not realistic. I mean,
It doesn't seem to be with others, no.
So,
The 80
yeah.
to 90% range.
you what?
The 80 to 90%
80%,
range.
that's realistic.
Yes, sir.
And that's
I believe it
achievable.
is.
And where are we right now?
We are, what we're looking at, and because we've just gotten some preliminary results back from a consultant that we're using to try to say what would the area be, we're probably about 100,000 short. So that's what we're trying to drive, at least within the next
And
3 years.
percentage wise, how much is it in terms of percentage?
Right now, we're about 40%,
40%.
almost 50% of what they say we should be having for our low income as this populace.
So we have some work to do.
We do have some work to do, yes. We're certainly looking for some bang for the buck with people who have already verified some incomes. I think we're going to get a decent hit rate with these databases.
And then, so we've developed some new outreach that we're doing, HACLA and so
Right.
where are we with HACLA? Do we have to do an actual MOU with them, and where are we with that?
That is already done.
It's done.
The MOU has been done.
Yesterday
and
was
written.
Southern California Gas,
Yes.
the commission. This is a separate issue, but who's the president there now? Did the president resign recently? Does it have a new president?
I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't deal with them. We dealt with someone else that was working on the program.
And so Southern California Gas, yesterday, the commission passed. The actual bills have a little notice there, right?
Yes, they
They
do.
have the little notice, and then there's
Yes.
some other things you're doing on outreach. Now, the Public Benefits Fund, how big is the Public Benefits Fund?
How much? About 60 million?
64 million?
Yes.
64 million.
Right, and we were, yeah.
It's 64 million. And it helps with outreach, it helps with different different programs. Since this issue was raised a few months ago, how much have you increased your outreach program funding, and is it coming out of the public benefits program?
We haven't increased the
You haven't
outreach
increased-
program. We hope to reach it.
You hope to reach it. So
Yes.
and how much do you spend on outreach?
I don't have that answer for you.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I can get that, but I don't have that right now. And would that be only on this program or any other outreach issues?
Any other outreach for,
we can
that
get
would
that.
help us raise our penetration levels?
Okay.
Yeah. And the Public Benefits Fund, it's also used for the refrigerator exchange program, the light bulbs, et cetera. But are those programs targeted to low-income people or people who are already in the program, or are they giving away the
No.
low efficiency, the efficiency light bulbs, for example? In order for you to get one or to be eligible to receive those, do we just randomly give them to Angelinos, or do we focus people who would qualify?
The light bulbs we do plan to give to almost everyone. That is a saturation effort for conservation pretty much alone. The other issue is, yes, the low-income program is, or the refrigerator program is only for low income.
I see. And what's the purpose of the public benefits program, the $64 million?
$64,000 question?
That's the $64,000 question.
You like that?
My understanding of it is,
Where's my 60?
yes, is certainly to provide that for a number of reasons, to give people certainly the help they need through these cost reductions on their bills, but also to get information out about conservation, et cetera, and then try to see some of that come back in our conservation efforts, such as the refrigerator program, et cetera.
So the public benefits program, widely defined, it could be to promote conservation, it could be,
Yes.
it's not necessarily to support the low-income
Not alone.
goals that we have
Right.
in the system and what they're doing. Okay. And finally, we've had some increase in participation rates from July '07 to July '08. That's what we've seen in the past. We have a larger target now to improve where we're at from about 40 to 50%.
Right.
Do we have incremental steps or goals that we have, or we're just saying our timeline, or we're just have this goal, but we don't know when we're going to reach it, or
No, we're looking
how
this
we're
at,
going to reach it each month,
Yes.
each quarter?
right, we're looking at it over a period of 3 years, since
3
we've
years.
kind of set this up this way, to say through our own efforts and to see certainly the effect of what happens when we really ask you to recertify only every 3 years. And we're not having the 4506T, the federal piece of the application. We're looking to see what our own growth factors will be in the first year. We hope to take it up between 12, like I said, 12 to 15,000 on our own efforts alone, and we think we can meet that goal, not easily, but we can meet that goal with keeping our noses to the grindstone on this one. But in looking at the other capabilities we have of sharing some data with the other groups, we think that's going to accelerate to probably 30 to 40,000 a year if we have the same hit rates that we've had on the databases we're looking at now. So over a 3-year period, we're looking to achieve close to the 80%. That would then put us, I think, in the ballpark,
Starting from today?
starting from about 3 months ago.
Starting 3 months ago.
Yes.
So from 3 years from now, we should achieve the 80%.
3 years ago, yes, 3 years from now, it is our target goal to achieve that. But we're not going to just wake up in 3 years and say, oh, we didn't make it. We're going to continue to notify, certainly this committee and everyone else, about our achieving our goals, and on a regular basis, and I believe that's going to be a quarterly basis, that we're going to provide the numbers to say what we're going up now.
Yeah.
So if we see a 5 to 7, 8,000 increase every quarter, then we're in the area of reaching our goal.
Okay. Thank you. So with that, unless there's any other question, do you have any other questions? We'll continue this item for 90 days so we can get an update on how we're doing on our penetration levels.
We'll be back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One more item. Next item.
Item number 2 is a controller's report relative to the cost allocation negotiation agreement number 30 between the city and the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services for fiscal year 2007-2008.
Good afternoon. I'm Bill Lamb from the Controller. The city receives between $300 and $500 million of federal grants a year. The federal government realizes that we can't direct charge anything, so it allows us to prepare a cost allocation plan in accordance with federal regulations to recover indirect costs. The Controller prepares that plan based upon input from various departments, both grant and non-grant departments. The plan is audited, and then we negotiate the plan with the Federal Department of HHS. For the purposes of our annual audit, our cognizant agency is HUD, but HUD does not do cost allocation plans, so they contract with HHS depending upon the availability of money in their budget. What you have before you is the negotiation agreement, which the council has authorized the mayor to execute on behalf of the city with notification to the city council. We recommend that the agreement be noted and filed.
Do that. Any questions?
file.
Note and
It's fine
file.
with me.
File this item. And that takes us to the end of the meeting. Great, thank you.
Good
And I
job,
just-
Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stein. I just want to note for the record that Councilmember Grew had to attend a family matter this afternoon, could not be with us. So, thank you very much. Have a good afternoon.